nausea washed over you when you received word of the Nuyen's death. Memories you didn't recognize crowded your mind, briefly drowning out your own thoughts. Your heart rejoiced at the Nuyen's death, but it wasn't a genuine feeling. It was nothing more than a reflection of Aranzeb's desire to slay Kyrios. As you pushed the feeling aside, you were overcome by a new vision. The memory unfolded, and you once again found yourself looking out through Aranzeb's eyes. The first thing you noticed was Jean's face, but in a new setting, before he'd become Kyrios. He wasn't sneering or wearing armor imbued with dark magic, but was seated in a sunny hall. Laughing, genuine merriment twinkled in his eyes as he gazed at someone just out of view. The vivid contrast between this and what you'd seen of Jean previously was unsettling. As your mind whirled, you almost missed the dire proclamation. You'd been accused of murder.
While in water, use W to swim forward. Use space to swim toward the surface, or X to dive deeper.
the High Council had ruled the elves since Aurangzeb's time back on Auroria. In fact, Aurangzeb had several memories of his dealings with them. The Eocad, however, was a more recent invention, implemented since the elves' arrival on Nuia. While the Council addressed elven politics and law, the Eocad were all warriors. Though called priests, it was more of a cultural determination than a religious one. They guided and shaped elven culture and behavior, with the ultimate purpose of preparing the race to slay Kyrios and avenge their murdered king. Enoir had always been a bit of a firebrand among your people. Rumors said he'd been invited into the Eocad only so he could be better controlled. But he had somehow managed to rise through the ranks and now led the group as High Priest. Perhaps more elves doubted their isolationist path than were willing to admit it publicly. Many elves seemed like they would be happy enough just to find a scapegoat for the Nuians' murder. The Council seemed like it would be happiest if that scapegoat was Enoir. Balayan, however, was different. Above all else, he wanted the truth. His noble bearing reminded you of Aurangzeb. Magic throbbed in your head as Balayan searched your mind for clues to establish your innocence, as well as your honor. As he dredged through your thoughts, you recalled your vision of Jean laughing. You followed the memory further. The point of view shifted, as if Aurangzeb had turned his head. Across the table, you saw what Jean was smiling at. A raven-haired woman in a mage's robes. Earlier, when you saw that woman through Aurangzeb's eyes, you felt a pang within your soul. Love. A pure love, deep and abiding, hummed through you, one of Aurangzeb's most powerful emotions. A name formed in your thoughts. Kiprosa. That was the raven-haired woman you'd seen, the one wearing mage's robes. She'd been another of the 12 adventurers, as well as human. Aurangzeb had loved her, beyond words, beyond measure, beyond logic. He hadn't hated all humans after all. Perhaps the realization made you curious to learn more about humans. Or perhaps you wanted to deepen the weight of coin in your pockets. Whatever the reason, you volunteered to help Balayan investigate the Nuian knight's death.
addition to NPCs, you can also receive quests from some special items. Right-click the item in your inventory to start its quest. Earn bonus experience by exceeding a quest's objectives.
If the other elders had ever shared this memory of Aurangzeb's life, they showed no sign of it. They seemed to hate and fear Nuians as much as they hated and feared Kyrios himself. Without waiting for Belian's investigations, they declared Enoir guilty of the knight's murder. They wanted nothing to do with humans, and if preventing contact meant taking down Enoir, all the better. Had an elf been the victim, the elders would have sought his killer to the ends of the earth. But they wanted to sweep this event under the proverbial rug. You heard they wanted no one to ever speak of it again. Having seen several of Aurangzeb's most intimate memories, part of you couldn't help but wonder. What would the beloved Elven King himself have done in such a situation?